Terry Marcotte, Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show, coming up! Our guest today, she was a hockey mom, psychologist, Wilfrid Laurier, founder of Starfish Synergies, founder of Canadian Hockey Moms, best-selling author, Teresa Bailey. Also joining us, graduate of Algonquin College, 38 years in journalism. He's a musician. He spent 33 years at CJOH. He's a former sports director at CTV Ottawa, co-author of the book. Ladies and gentlemen, Terry Marcotte, Teresa Bailey, great to have you on the program.
Rather be in Mexico, Joe, than here, but yeah, nice joining you.
Yeah, I have to tell you, Mexico's all right. Really, it's not too bad. The book is called Hockey Moms, The Heart of the Game by Teresa Bailey and Terry Marcotte. Now, and here's a look at the cover. Great book. Just finished reading it this week because I was having you on the program, and it is an absolute must-read. Tremendous book. Now, Terry, you recently retired from a real nice career over at CJOH, our affiliate in Ottawa, when I was back with CTV Toronto. 33 years, last few as sports director at CJOH, CTV Ottawa. You had a lot of fun with the gig. Here's some video. You helped launch the career of James Duthie, and we had James on the show a few months back, and he gave you a lot of credit for that. We also have a clip from on you that the Ottawa Citizen did when you retired recently, and you were asked, what's next for Terry Marcotte? Let's have a listen.
You go in, you show up, you do your work, and all of a sudden, I've got time on my hands, and I'll curl, I'll play some more music, I'll try to get better in music, but I really don't know what I'm going to do, and that's having that kind of uncertainty at age 59 is a little bit weird. Most days it doesn't feel like work. What I've tried to do for a lot of years is surprise people. So you take a little nugget and you work with it. You go in.
So did you ever imagine that you would be co-authoring a book?
I didn't imagine it, but I really didn't have any plan when I left. But I always enjoyed writing, and I had done a story on Teresa about 15 years ago. She set up this amazing network of hockey moms. I think there are something like 40,000 moms all connected, basically helping each other navigate the world of hockey. And you're a new mom and trying to figure things out, and it's expensive, it's time consuming. We did a story on Teresa, and we connected well and stayed in touch. Teresa kept on saying, there's a book in here with the stories from the moms. And I absolutely agreed. I thought, from what she was saying, there are some amazing stories. And she tried to get it together, but she has a lot going on in her life. And I didn't have a whole lot going on in my life because I had no more work. I didn't have to show up. I reached out to her and said, do you want to work on this together? She said, yes. And here we are. We got a book.
Okay, let's bring Teresa back in now. Teresa, tell us what prompted you to write this book. What was the motivating force here?
It started back when my own kids were in hockey, in minor hockey, and started into competitive hockey in around 2010. And just some weird experiences that are not atypical for families. And really, there were no resources, certainly at the time, to help people through it. And as a rational person, in sometimes an irrational world, I thought that it would be a great place to talk to other moms about how they did it. And so it's been a goal for over a decade to get it done.
Right from the get-go, was it your intention to have Terry involved?
No, that grew as over time. So Terry, I think the first segment he did on me was maybe 2014, and it was actually a combined segment with Hockey Canada. So I've known Terry since 2014, but we realized the day of the book launch that we actually met in 2011 at a Hockey Mom luncheon for Don Cherry. And I believe Terry actually interviewed my kids at that time. But it didn't happen until the pandemic, because I was reaching out to ask Terry to reach out to players and their moms that he might be connected with, so that I could do some interviews, because I'd already done, I think, 7 at the time before the pandemic. And then coincidentally, he had retired, and there was a pandemic. And so there was lots of time for everyone to get things done. And that's when it really started rolling.
It's interesting how the pandemic is sort of, forced us almost into doing things differently. But as a result of that, it's allowed us to create a lot of stuff that we probably, we've gone in directions that we might not have gone in, had it not been for the pandemic. I want to talk to you about the book, of course, and the foreword by Bobby Ryan. Very raw, open account of the life that Bobby had, and the incredible role that his late mother played in helping him reach the NHL. Were you excited about having Bobby Ryan contribute?
Absolutely. We were longtime Senators fans, and my parents have driven over 2 hours since the second year of the Senators' existence. So we watched Bobby when he came to Ottawa and followed his story. And to know that he had that connection with his mother, I think people knew about that story. And Terry knew him well enough to ask him to be a part of it all. And I think the foreword really sets up the whole book in a really important way, because it's giving a different perspective of how, in retrospect, players really reflect on how much their mothers meant to them. So that was really special for us to have him involved.
Joe,
Terry, tell us about Bobby Ryan. Tell us about Bobby Ryan. Yeah.
Well, from your experience covering athletes, a lot of people say, who are your favorite athletes, and a lot of them don't give you a whole lot. You go down and you talk to them, and you put a mic in front of them, and I feel like you're wasting your time. I never felt that way with Bobby. Bobby is a deep thinker. He's obviously had a lot of issues in his life, and just the Cole's notes on him is his father beat his mother, and his mother stayed with him. He was charged with assault, and the mother stayed with him, and they left their home in Philadelphia, and they went on the run as a family, Bobby and his mom and dad, and ended up in California. The dad got arrested. It sounds like a soap opera, and it was the mom who got Bobby to the NHL, who picked it up and did it on her own, worked a couple of jobs, and got it done. And Bobby has been through a lot in his life, and a thoughtful guy. And one of the favorite people I covered in hockey, and we connected well, and reached out to him, and was thrilled that there was no hesitation to absolutely I'm there to help. And his forward is very powerful. He doesn't hide anything about how difficult it was for him, how difficult it was for his mom, and we really define the odds when you look at the traditional hockey family, and then you got this kid who's lived this kind of life, making it to the NHL and having a very good career.
Everybody in this book has opened up to you folks, and it's a lot of deep stuff, a lot of really emotional stuff. I teared up numerous times reading. It was really, really awesome. And of course, you've got the superstars. Connor McDavid's parents lied about his age. Interesting bit of trivia, so that he could play hockey when he was 4 years old. I don't imagine anybody has a problem with that today, would they, Teresa?
Well, probably not today, but having been involved in minor hockey executives before, those are the situations that cause a lot of dilemmas, because lots of parents feel that their kids should be moved ahead when maybe they shouldn't be, but how do you really know? And certainly in that case, it made sense. So in retrospect, I think it makes perfect sense that they did it, and they knew right from a very young age where he was destined to be.
Connor's mom, Kelly, talks about him being pretty intense as a kid, crying when he lost. you know. But he always had that goal, right? So lofty goals as a 6-year-old. He wanted to play in the OHL when he was 15, which he did. He wanted to win Memorial Cup. He wanted to be a number 1 pick. He wanted to win a Stanley Cup. Hasn't done that yet. And get inducted in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I'd say, Terry, would you say that Connor's pretty much on his way in all these categories here?
He is, and I found his mom fascinating, how she played it out. So there are a lot of kids out there who have all kinds of talent when they're you look at the Timbits thing between periods at NHL games, and you see the kids who just seem to have everything going for them. And Connor McDavid obviously was one of those. But I think the thing that set him apart was this drive, and almost Kelly had to rein it in and keep it, because he was so driven to get to where he wanted to as soon as he could. And she talked about building little steps with little goals on each step. Every game that you play, you're a step closer to getting to that competitive level. That's what she had to do to make it work for Connor McDavid, because he's just wired differently than a lot of kids. And she was the one, she was telling her husband, let's put the brakes on here. A lot of kids out there with a lot of talent. And I think he was 12 years old. She went to one of his games. They had 2 sons, and she spent a lot of time with the older brother, Cameron. And she goes out and watches, yeah, I get it. This guy is special. So she, rather than pushing, she was almost kind of reining in the expectations.
Such an incredible role that the mothers play in all of this, obviously, and we knew that, but just we really get a feel for it now. And Kelly is still involved, of course, with Connor running his charities. We actually have a clip from a piece that was done recently involving Kelly. Vic, can we roll that?
The difficulty is the time commitment and the cost commitment. There's the cost of the equipment, there's the cost of tournaments, there's the cost of joining a club. There is thousands and thousands of dollars that are involved. Well, I partnered with Febreze Hockey Heroes, and we are asking people to donate their gently used skates so that we can hand them out to kids.
And Kelly's advice from your book: enjoy the ride. It goes by fast. Can you relate to that, Teresa?
I really can. And actually, I met Kelly through that campaign. She was working. They were working with my website, so that's how I initially got connected with her way pre-pandemic. I think the ride goes very fast, and part of what I learned through my own kids' minor hockey and talking to all of these moms is that it goes as fast as your kids grow up, and we know how quickly that goes. And the other thing is that we're growing up along with our children. So how you handle things when you're young, a young mother, is different than when you come out with your kids playing junior, if they're still playing at that point. And sometimes we don't realize how quickly it all goes. And I think there's in me afterward, when I'm talking about reflecting on my oldest son and of his minor hockey days, it hits you when it's over, and it really does go fast. So there's one message all of these mom would say would be to enjoy it.
Yeah, you talked about that in the book. It was a sad day when your son played his last game, and he knew it was his last game. Another story here is Emma Matthews from that hockey hotbed of Mexico, and her son, growing up in Arizona, decided that he wanted to play hockey. Now, interesting that never realized that Austin had actually broken his femur and spent 2 months in a wheelchair. That was a heck of a setback. But we also have a clip from Emma when the Leafs had their sons and mom's trip not all that long ago. Vic?
We have our sons here tonight playing for us. It's so much fun. It's so much fun to get to know all these wonderful ladies. They're so much fun, and it's nice to get to know them, to have fun. Just to have fun. No, nothing fancy. Just being fun.
So there's a whole bunch of hockey moms right there, the Maple Leafs obviously a big story in this neck of the woods. So, well, not here. I'm actually in Mexico, where Emma's from, but the big story everywhere in Canada right now. And so, what were your thoughts about after talking to Emma?
There was no template for that family to get Austin to the NHL, and Austin's dad, the background was baseball, and he was a very good baseball player, and he morphed into hockey at a young age, and everything they learned was on the fly. And if you think of the culture in Canada and how many parents dream that their kids are going to play in the NHL, well, I mean, this was not a dream of the Matthews family, but again, incredible talent and the work ethic and the drive to just keep going. And you look at the parallels between that and the Connor McDavid story. I mean, they're there because these kids were driven, and the parents were really good facilitators, and the moms, the glue in the family. And you look at Austin Matthews, and he is one of the best in the league, but how unlikely growing up in Arizona and making it to where he is.
Another story from a hockey mom in New Zealand, and you don't consider New Zealand to be exactly a hockey hotbed either. But Tanya Pym obviously looking to change that. What were your thoughts talking to Tanya, Teresa?
When actually she reached out to me through the website, because at the time I had just written an article, I think, called 10 Things I Learned as the President of a Small Minor Hockey Association. And she had just become president in her association. So she connected with me that way, wanting to just chat about some of the things she was encountering and setting up codes of conduct and things like that. And that's when I thought it would be really fascinating to include her once I learned a bit about her story. They were a ski family, and it made me chuckle a little bit because they got out of skiing and into hockey because of the politics in skiing. And I thought that was interesting. That would not necessarily be the leap that people would make here in Canada. So she was really great. Her daughter is now here at a school in Windsor. And she's coming over, and I'm hoping to meet her sometime soon, actually.
That's awesome. And another, there's 3 NHLers born in Arizona, as it turns out. You're talking about in the book. Matthew Tkachuk's mom, Chantel, says her son was the worst hockey player on his team, on his first hockey team. That's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe. And so they moved to kids were born in Phoenix, and because of the dad, Keith Tkachuk, getting sent to St. Louis, they end up in St. Louis, and Keith's the veteran, and some of the other veterans in the Blues come out, and he's got his son playing his first minor hockey game. And she said he was, like all the parents, excited. We got a son of an NHL player playing with us, and said he was awful. I think he got a little bit better soon, but yeah, there's another story of the pressure when your dad is an NHL star and then having to follow in those footsteps.
What made Chantel such a great hockey mom, Teresa?
I think her love for all 3 of her kids and her passion to support them. She told a nice story as well, when the boys were home during the pandemic, and being able to support her daughter, who had switched sports and won a championship. And I think that her unwavering support, like most moms. And also she talked a lot about the hockey family that was around her when Keith was away, and how she relied on other people to help her get things done. And I think that is something that a lot of families can relate to, because we all end up relying on each other when things are really hectic.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about Snowplow Sam.
Snowplow Sam.
He was something to do
Terry,
with the arena.
Snowplow Sam was Troy Henley. And
okay.
this was another chapter. We paralleled Travis Konechny, who's had a pretty good career with Philadelphia, with Troy Henley, who kid who grew up in Philadelphia, and both families not a lot of money. And Travis's mom says it drives her nuts when people talk about all the rich people in hockey. She said we were poor, and one of her big fears was one of the kids saying, you know, I'm going to bring friends over for dinner. They didn't have food. She said we were hunters. We go out and hunt. So Snowplow Sam is Troy Henley, and I believe, and I'm correct, Teresa, that was how he learned how to skate.
Yes, that was what it was. Well, I was still thinking of the Kachucks when we talked about that,
Kachucks.
but it was the program. Yes, absolutely. That was a really fascinating story, and a bit of a heartbreaking one as well, because you can see the parallels of families who put so much time and energy into their children, and then sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't, and the heartache that can cause at the end, for sure.
So we had these two stories, Joe. So we paralleled Travis and Troy Henley, couple of kids from poor families. They end up connecting their lives with the Ottawa 67s in junior hockey, drafted the same years, both making the team as 16-year-olds. Konechny, the first-round pick, Troy Henley, the second-round pick. And they had both pretty good rookie years, and then it just went boom like that. And Troy Henley wasn't in the favor of a new coach, ended up bouncing around the league, out of hockey about 20, but the same hopes, the same dreams for both families. The mother was incredible, the sacrifices that she made to try to get this kid who had no hockey background, to get him to a position where he might have a chance to make it. And the heartbreak is just tremendous, because his community, they ended up moving away from Philadelphia over to the Jersey side because it was more affordable. And the community kind of helped out. Some of the parents would see him playing with a broken stick and just quietly give him a new stick. All of the expectations in this small town that they lived in. And it came time for the NHL draft. Konechny, a first-round pick. And the agent for Troy Henley said, don't show up. He's not going to get drafted. He wasn't. And just heartbreaking.
Yeah, not all the stories in this book are fairy tales, no doubt about it. I mean, there's some real life, real stories in here.
But that's life. That's life,
because,
isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is, and that's what it's all about. Now, we've recently seen some videos posted on the internet of hockey moms that don't depict hockey moms in a very positive light. And in the book, you talk to a mom, Tabitha, who found that she was becoming like a crazy person, but she had learned how to reel it in. Tell us about that story, Teresa.
Sure. Tabitha is actually a friend of mine, and she is someone that her boys have grown up with my boys. And what I love most about her is that she is very honest about herself and her emotions as she's gone through this. And I think that a lot of people have connected with that story. That's the feedback that they have given me. Talked about how brave she is, because she really talks about how, because her son wanted to play in the NHL, that's what she wanted for him, and she would do it at any cost. And I can tell you that he was is a really strong player and really dominated young, but it became not his dream. But she didn't know that. She didn't realize it until he was trying not to make a junior team and have to move away, basically, is what happened. So I think her story is relevant because it probably represents a lot of families or a lot of journeys of people who maybe aren't so open about it. And so I really appreciated that she was honest with us the way that she was. It's a lot of people's favorite chapter in the book, or one of them.
I talked to Mike Tanev, who has two boys that play in the NHL, Chris and Brandon. And I was talking to him one day, and he was told a long time ago by Rick Cornacchia, when he was one of those screaming, yelling dads and giving his players grief on the ice and everything else and yelling at the coach. Rick said, stand at the end of the building by yourself and watch the kids play and just let that unfold. And that's what he ended up doing. And it worked out pretty well for him. I noticed that there's some hockey moms in the book that are coaches as well. And maybe kindness and compassion aren't bad things for when it comes to hockey coaches. What are your thoughts, Terry?
Yeah, I mean, so there's one of the coaches that stands out to me. She has been how many? Put it this way: how many men say that they want to coach their kids, be on the ice and coach with their kids? Like that happens quite often. This woman coached Ryerson. She's been head coach there for decades. She was an assistant coach on the Canadian Olympic team that won gold in 2014. She knows how to coach. She knows a little bit about hockey. She puts her name in to be coach of her son's team, like a lot of men do. And she doesn't get the job. They give it to a guy with no high-level coaching experience. So she bites her lip and says, it's not about me. I just want to be out on the ice with my son. I'll go as an assistant coach. She goes as an assistant coach. She's the puck pusher at practice. No, not running drills, not really having a voice, just keeping the drills going. I mean, those are the kinds of things that women in the game face. And I think for me, I've been around hockey a long time. This talking to the moms really opened my eyes to some of the issues that we see with hockey right now. Hockey Canada, a male-dominated organization, and the missteps that we've seen. And to answer your question, kindness, sensitivity, all of these things. If women had a stronger voice in hockey, I think it would be a much better game.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up Hockey Canada because of the 9 new directors that they've suggested. 5 of them are women. Teresa, your thoughts?
I thought Teresa should have been in the list.
Yeah,
I'm serious. I think Teresa would have been great with her background running leagues, with her passion for for giving a voice to women. I think Teresa would have been great. But I think that's what Hockey Canada had to do. Sorry, Teresa.
Well, Teresa, you've researched it, right? Yeah.
I have, yeah. And I think, maybe they did what they had to do with the people that they chose, because they're all high level. They're very, there's lawyers and there's people with so much experience in other areas that I think maybe that's what they need. What maybe they're missing is the grassroots angle. I don't know about these people's grassroots experience, but I don't know that you can change the culture just from the top down. I think it has to be from the bottom up also. And maybe they'll put in place some work groups. I don't know how they'll structure it to be able to do that. Maybe that's the only thing that's missing right now on that board. But I don't know enough about each of them yet to really have a full opinion formed around that.
Well, you talk about a lot of trailblazers in the book. There's Motorcycle Marge and Manon Rhéaume. And Manon Rhéaume, as she was as a hockey player. Her mom, went through what she went through with Manon, and then Manon is now a hockey mom, and she's experienced things from a different point of view. What are your thoughts on Manon?
I found Manon's story best. Sorry. I found
it.
Okay. I found her fascinating because where they grew up in a small town north of Quebec City, and at the time that women weren't playing hockey, and how she was able to from playing ball hockey with her brothers to being the first woman to play in an NHL exhibition game, I thought is just amazing.
Teresa, you're going to comment on Manon as well?
Well, I think maybe she was maybe one of the interviews where I was most starstruck because she's Manon Rhéaume. But I grew up in a time when there was a lot of mocking of her. I think maybe that's changed a little bit, but maybe not, about how it was all a publicity stunt. And I guess my point was, or what I was thinking through that is that uh, imagine being her. For her, it wasn't a publicity stunt. She was taking her shot when given the opportunity. And to have to do that surrounded by people saying that you shouldn't be there, um, that makes, to me, that makes her even more impressive that she was able to do it and stand in there. And so I think that she's handled it all with such grace. It's really incredible story. And I believe that the first mayor, female mayor in the United States was a woman put on as a joke by some men, and she ended up winning. So thank you for the joke, I guess, because she paved the way, and maybe, maybe that's what happened. I'm not sure.
Yeah, look at Hazel McCallion. I mean, talk about paving the way. She's a former hockey player as well, right?
Yeah.
Donna McCormick, an Indigenous family, raised an NHL player and a lawyer, and that was a great story as well. Who did the interview with Donna?
We did those. We did the interview with Donna together, and yeah, she not a real hockey background. I think the first time she put her kids on the ice, she said she forgot to take the skate guards off. Didn't realize that was part of it. That's how little she knew about hockey. And she was a really supportive mom. And I think Cody from early on, and Teresa followed him in junior hockey, but I think early on he realized how important he would be as a role model, as an Indigenous player, and really embraced it. So did the entire family.
I'm talking about change as well, a role that the hockey moms have played in terms of change. Alex Briggs Blake, tell us about her role, Teresa.
I just loved that chapter with both Alex and with Lauren Camper. Both are Black women activists, and Alex Briggs Blake started the Tucker Road Ducks. She realized that there were not a lot of places for players of color to play, so she started a team. She is an incredible activist and has become a friend. She's been so supportive and really does so much work in that area, in advocacy and being involved in trying to make the sport more inclusive and having diversity. And I just am so impressed with her. She is one of the gems that came out. All of the women have become, I would say, my friends, but for sure. I can't wait to see her. I'm going to see her at the Carnegie Initiative Summit in January.
Right, and then along that vein, we have Jacqueline Smith, mother of Devontae Smith-Pelly. We actually have a clip from Jacqueline back when Devontae was drafted. Let's watch that.
I had no idea where he was going to go and who was going to pick him, and it's surreal. I'm still reeling over this. I can't believe this. It's exciting, and I'm so excited for him. He's worked so hard.
There you go, Devontae. Nice to have you on board, man.
Thank you.
Buddy?
Yeah, buddy. That's awesome. Thanks, man.
You need him?
Yeah.
So you go from those highs, but Jacqueline talks a lot about the lack of tolerance and diversity in the game. Tell us a little bit about her journey, Terry.
Yeah, she very outspoken, talking to her about what Devontae has been through, and Devontae, has had a good NHL career, but I think not the career he would like. He was a terrific playoff performer and seemed to be one of those players who played above his weight at playoff time. Yet the following year, quite often he ended up back in the minors. He's like a third and fourth line kind of guy, and she was saying, if he had been a white kid, would he have been given more opportunity to stick around, work through adversity? And she believes that he has been a victim of racism, and it's very difficult to prove when, you know, you're not performing the way you'd like to or the way the coaches would like, and you get sent down. Well, that's hockey. But, you know, that's kind of the reality of being a black person in a world that's predominantly white. That are you getting the same opportunity? She believes no.
Teresa, you mentioned you're involved with the Carnegie Initiative, and like, are we cracking the old boys club? The things is change happening, and if it is it happening fast enough?
Well, I think that a lot of the change has to be very intentional, and I have been reflecting on whether I'm seeing the change happen because I'm surrounding myself with people who want to see it happen. So does it just seem like that now? And but I do think that with the, you know, Millie O'Ree being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and Herb Carnegie just was as well, there's such a movement and a visibility of the activists. Maybe it's changing. It's hard to know what's going to happen at Hockey Canada. Again, the grassroots level, that's where I think it really needs to change. Things are happening. All the Hockey Canada stuff, if nothing else, is forcing and allowing us to talk about the issues. So maybe that will allow us to bust some of the bad things open. I did ask when we did the interview with Jacqueline Smith if Devontae had ever had a black coach or GM, anyone on the bench had ever been black through his career. And she thought for a minute and she looked at me and she said, no, it's never happened. So I think that's pretty incredible to think that happens, which I know it does. And maybe those things are starting to change. I think they are, certainly in the NHL.
Yeah, they were talking about change too. And Caitlin and Aaron Steiger both played university hockey. Both became lawyers. It must have made their moms proud. They had two moms, double the fun, right?
Yeah, that was a great story too, and I was so proud to share it. That I think represents the change that's happening. They're from my hometown actually, and we're all very proud of them, and they're an important part of our community. And to be able to show that as an example of the acceptance and inclusion of families that are different was really important to me.
And the piece here on there's a lot of charitable work that's being done, and your story on Lisette Kingo. I'm not sure if the pronunciation is correct, but in palliative care, it's still doing her work through the Angel Project. That one was tough to get through, but Michael sounds like he's just an awesome individual. And tell us more about Lisette.
Do you want to take that? I'll talk about Lisette because she's also.
Go for it.
Yeah, Lisette is a really special person, and I met her when our sons were playing for the Elite Beast in the Chowder Cup in Boston. I think 2019 it was. And she just fills the room with her presence, but she was sick even back then. And now, like you had said, she's palliative. But the work that she does through the Angel Project, she has used the hockey community to give back and to raise money for people who are in long-term chronic care. And it's something that she's doing when she's battling her own illness. And at the same time, she's someone who spoke up when there was bullying on a team to the initial detriment to her son. So she had that whole dynamic going on of where she was someone who spoke up, and it backfired until she was able to find a way out of that situation. And I think she just represents to people kindness and generosity, but also the courage to speak out about things when they're going wrong.
Yeah, it has to start some way, right? Colin Kaepernick took the knee. I mean, it's like somebody has to speak up. Somebody has to be there to start this. And she sounds like an amazing story. Brenda O'Reilly, wow. I mean, she made her home available for foster kids. She donated her kidney to the guy who ran the rink, who used to let her kids come in there and play. What a story she is. I mean, I did interview Ryan a while back. Yeah, and he just seems like such a grounded guy, and such a, comes from obviously a wonderful family. Terry,
It was one of the saddest stories. It was one of the saddest stories in the book for me. So they were foster parents for some kids who've been through a lot in their lives, and she saw the gifts that her kids had, and how well adjusted they were, and there was one kid who was going to meet his mother at a McDonald's for his birthday, and he ended up going there, and the mom didn't show up, and the heartbreak that the kid had, and and she seemed so grounded about all of the opportunities that her kids had, and seeing this kid excited to see his mom, and having no show, and just an amazing woman, and that Ryan O'Reilly, that was his life growing up. He grew up in a home full of foster kids, and kids who been through a lot in their lives, and you can just imagine how that would help you grow as a person and into a leader, which he is, a captain of St. Louis, and she is just an amazing woman. And then the rink attendant, he used to open up the rink in the morning for the kids to go skate, needed a kidney, and she was a match and donated a kidney to say thank you. I mean, just amazing person, amazing story.
Well, those are hockey mom legends right there. No doubt about that. Carol Nicholson, sledge hockey mom, another wonderful story. Determination of Todd. Teresa, your thoughts on Carol?
Oh, that was a tough one. That was a tough one to get through the interview when Terry and I did that, because it started with tracing back to the accident that left Todd paralyzed. And I think that was a theme that happened with all of the moms, is that when their kids had serious injuries, whether it was on the ice or not, they relived those moments. And that's what happened when we were talking to her. But she also talked about the determination that he had to get back and try new things, and how this accident led to him taking on all of these opportunities that he wouldn't have had otherwise. And so in retrospect, they're able to look back on even the worst days of their life as something that launched them in a different way. Really special story, I think, and a testament to the resilience that is built by families and through sport. And that was one of the themes, that sometimes the worst things that happen can also lead to positive experiences if you're willing to grow on it. So I love that chapter.
Any idea how many interviews you guys did for the book?
Terry, you counted, right?
Sorry, was that Terry? Go ahead, Terry.
I think it was about 50, but we really set out, Joe, and there were some moms who declined to talk to us, and you get through, but most of them were good. But we really set out to make it a book not reflecting what hockey is, but maybe what it should be, and we really set out to find diversity. And I think you've touched on a lot of it, that we wanted I'm almost to shine a light on the possibilities for hockey, because that was the theme we were getting from people, is it's a great game, but it could be better. And I think that kind of comes across. So yeah, we talked to a lot of people, and I think we met once face-to-face, Teresa, in the whole process.
One time before the first full draft was handed in, we met one time in person. It was all, and technology, the pandemic took a lot away, but also gave us an opportunity to have time to talk to moms who normally don't have time to talk to anyone because they're all over the place. So, and I think just the ability, these are things that have been issues close to me. All of these issues have been on my mind through the community that I've had and my experiences as a hockey mom. So I'm just so proud that we get to share the stories of all of these women, and that they had the generosity of their time, but also the courage to talk, because some of them talk about some controversial things that moms aren't supposed to say. So yeah, it's been a real journey.
So, okay, Teresa, so having done all these interviews, talked to these moms, done all this research, have you sort of come up with your own conclusion as to what the perfect hockey mom would look like?
Well, I have some lessons that I've been thinking about, and the more interviews I do, honestly, and the more questions I get asked and the more feedback, the more thinking I do. But I do think that it has to do with following your kids' passions, but letting them pull you, not pushing them, to help them understand that resilience can be built even from the worst times. So that's what we're trying to do, is help build good people who are resilient to all the challenges in life. And I think having an openness and trying to make it all more inclusive. And I think being a good role model as a mom is setting that example for your kid who's willing to stand up for someone and allowing them to speak out when they aren't being treated right in hockey. And I think that parents actually have a huge responsibility in that regard. So those are three of the things that I think of when I think about the perfect hockey mom.
Wow. Terry, anything you want to add to that?
I think Teresa's a pretty good hockey mom. We've been hanging around. I mean, you've got a lot of it right. Like you know, Teresa is very passionate about looking out for others, and I think Teresa gets it. So yeah, I just have so much respect for the moms. Talking to them, hearing their stories, hearing their passion. They have the exact same passion as fathers, but everybody talks about the dads and nobody talks about the moms. So it was a real honor to be able to shine a light on moms and hear their stories and do what we did.
Well, you guys set out to try to make hockey a better game, and I think you certainly did that. I think anybody who reads this book will come away learning a lot about what they can do to make it better, and which is pretty awesome. And I want to once again, the book is called Hockey Moms, The Heart of the Game. And you folks definitely have heart. I want to thank you for being on this program. Teresa, Terry, great job. Thank you.
Nice talking to you, Joe.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay. It's already a good luck with the book. I mean, it's already a bestseller. It's going to continue to be. I've told a lot of folks about it here around the pool in Mexico, and they are looking forward to it. All right. More sports when we come back. Thanks, guys. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show is brought to you by
Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca. Joe Tilley Sports is brought to you by COSA, Central Ontario Standardbred Association, providing a united voice for harness horse people racing at Ontario tracks. Check out your benefits today at COSAonline.com and check out COSA TV on Facebook and YouTube for all the latest harness news and live action updates. Live racing year-round. Go to hpibet.com for all your wagering options. Become a member today, and your first bet is free. That's hpibet.com.
Visit moregolf.ca. You'll find everything a golfer could need, from balls, gloves, clubs, custom fitting opportunities, training gear, valuable accessories, and some great deals. Looking for that perfect gift idea for the golfer in your life? Go to moregolf.ca today. Order by December 18th for guaranteed delivery by December 24th. moregolf.ca. My Costa Swiss pick of the week. Last time out, I took Matt's MVP with James McDonald driving 18-1. But Storm Trotter, the number 8 horse who had it in the exacta, had the great finishing kick. Bob McClure drove for trainer Shane Weber, coming on for the victory. Willie's last was second. Matt's MVP hung on for third. The 8-2-4 trifecta paid $427. This week, I'm looking at Thursday night 7th race at Mohawk, a pace for 2-year-old colts and geldings. Let's go with James McDonald and Catch Me on the Beach, the number 6 horse. I also like the 5, 6, 9 exacta and trifecta. Stallion registration with the Ontario Star Stakes program for the 2023 breeding year is now open. The deadline for registration is January 16th. For all the racing updates, visit Costa TV on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Go to hpibet.com for your wagering options.
This is the Excellent Sports Adventure, brought to you by Lycom.
Well, just when you were wondering if the Blue Jays were getting serious this offseason, boom, there they go. The Birds have added an impressive arm to that starting rotation, signing free agent Chris Bassett to a 3-year deal worth $63 million. The 6'5" right-hander, who turns 34 next month, pitched 181 innings for the Mets this past year with a 3.42 ERA. Over 8 Major League seasons, Bassett has a 46-34 record, a 3.45 ERA, along with 671 strikeouts, just 228 walks. He received Cy Young votes in 2021 and 2020 and 21. He'll join a rotation that includes Alek Manoah, Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, and Yusei Kikuchi, maybe Hyunjin Ryu. The Jays have also landed that left-handed bat they were looking for and the outfield replacement for Teoscar Hernandez. They signed free agent Kevin Kiermaier. Kiermaier hit .228 for the Rays last season, 7 homers, 22 RBI in a short season. He is a career .248 hitter, 82 homers, 316 RBI, and has stolen 112 bases in 9 seasons. He's also a vacuum in the outfield with 3 Gold Gloves. It's time for our weekly check on the longest point streak in club history. Yes, Leafs home to the Flames. Didn't take long. First period down 2-1. Mitch Marner gets it back to Rasmus Brandin, over to William Nylander, who buries his first of 2 goals. Mitch with points in 22 straight games. They needed overtime. Extra man for the Leafs. Nylander sends the disc back to Marner, gets his own rebound for the win. Willie has a career-high 5-point night. He's one of the NHL's 3 stars of the week. The Buds have points in 14 straight games. What do you say, Mitch? Sheldon?
These fans have been giving me a lot of love here recently, and I'm very thankful for it. Very appreciative, and it's a special feeling. This fan base is always loud for our whole team, really, but it's a pretty special feeling. But it was a bit of an ugly one, like I'm saying, so I'm just happy we got that 2 points and can enjoy the day off now tomorrow.
I also think our players internally, amongst themselves, are pushing each other. Those top guys, they're pushing each other. And like I said, Willie, I think, has potential to be in that top tier. Austin and Mitch have really established themselves in that very exclusive top tier in the league. Willie should be right there hanging with those guys. And he's pushing himself. And then they're all pushing one another, which I think is how that group gets to even greater heights.
Yep, and they're pushing together. Yeah, sure, they've had some injury issues, but something is clearly off with the Raptors. Just 2 wins in their last 7 games. 2 of those setbacks came against the worst team in the league. Gary Trent Jr. was a bright spot with 24 points in a 12-point loss in Orlando. Pascal Siakam had 19. Where's the spark? Tough road week. Things could get even uglier. The Toronto Rock were looking to go 2-0, facing the very good Nighthawks team in Rochester. Stephen Keogh had a good night for the visitors. Wires his 3rd goal of the night, but Connor Fields scored 4 times for the Hawks, added 3 assists. Rochester wins it 11-7. The Rock will host Buffalo Saturday night at First Ontario Centre. Well, they didn't get a point, but Canada did turn some heads at the World Cup. Two of the clubs from their group made the Final Four. The other team was ranked second in the world. This is a team that can make some noise in 2026. By the way, Jonathan Osorio has inked a new 3-year deal with Toronto FC. The 30-year-old midfielder has made 300 appearances for FC and many more for Team Canada. Time now for our shot of the week.
God damn it. 4!
Claire on the par 3 12th here at El Tigre. Bunkers on the right, water on the left. A very challenging hole. She's going to be on the green and she'll be putting for a birdie. She's quite happy with that. Today's environmental tip: reduce the electricity you use. Use energy efficient light bulbs instead of regular light bulbs. They last longer, which will save you money. Make sure that you turn off the lights, the TV, and other appliances when you're not using them. And lower your air conditioning or heat settings when it's not necessary. Open your windows when fall arrives and wear more layers of clothing rather than cranking up the heat. Rycom, passionate people who turn complicated business problems into simplified technology solutions for public and private sector real estate, properties, portfolios, and enterprise customers. Optimize and future-proof smart buildings from the ground up. The latest in fault locating, base building network design, managed services, cybersecurity, data analytics. Our fault detection will support all smart strategies, define projected outcomes for capital planning, and reduce environmental impact. Rycom, smart protection solutions. At Rycom, we're building a path to a smart and environmentally friendly future. And we want to thank all the folks who make this show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great people. We highly recommend them all. Thank you for your support of Canadian and local sports. A reminder, the show is available on iTunes, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, as well as the Spanglish Network, Zingo TV, and Buzz TV Live. And you really want to check out our YouTube channel. Past shows are available, weekly sportscasts, all kinds of cool segments. Like and subscribe. It's free. Thanks once again to Teresa Bailey and Terry Marcotte for being on the program. Thank you for watching, and join us next week when Jim Kite drops by. We'll see you then. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show is brought to you by Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in their early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today. And let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. Do you want to buy or sell a home? Could 31 years of real estate experience help you? Why not speak to an amazing team that loves to overpromise and overdeliver? Aldo has a tremendous team of experts on staff. They are committed to making your next real estate transaction smooth and comfortable. Call 416-GET-ALDO or visit getaldo.com. MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business accounting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the need of their clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to do business and personal strategies to help people and organizations to succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, their team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca today to learn more.